All right, let me get the volume up here a little bit. There we go. And let's start with what questions you have.
Okay. Well, I just got approved for the financing aspect of things. So the next step would be, well, just I guess to give you a little bit of a background. My brother and I, we had a mentor that basically wasn't guiding us the way that we was hoping. So we need to figure out to make sure that our SAM registration is up to date, and as far as certifications and getting everything situated for our first bid.
Okay. So basically just want to make sure you have your ducks in a row properly.
Yes, yes.
Gotcha. Okay, and you currently have a 501c3?
No, I do not have a 501c3. It's just a regular profit. Yes.
Gotcha. For-profits and non-profits can do government contracts with the government just like for-profits can. Some of the states, I've got a gentleman I work with, his name's Dr. Austin. Dr. Austin suggests in certain states that people set up an LLC and an S-Corp and run them in conjunction, and they get tax breaks that way. I can get his advice on whether he thinks that's right in your state, but outside of that, you know, Goodwill, Salvation Army, those guys are some of the largest government contractors when it comes to janitorial and landscaping. When they do the work, the people that actually do the work are volunteers. So they're keeping 100% of the money towards their effort, you know. But outside of that, you know, doing contracts as a for-profit, the only difference between doing contracts as a for-profit and doing contracts as a non-profit is that as a 501c3, you can actually apply for grants immediately. As a for-profit, you have to wait at least 1 year. So that's really the only major difference.
I see.
And of course, with a for-profit, you're, you know, putting the money into your pocket. With a non-profit, you're donating that money or using that money towards a better cause or a combination thereof, you know.
Right.
Are you on the same page as your brother as far as like wanting to pretty much broker, wanting to bid on anything you can get your hands on?
Absolutely.
Awesome. I get an occasional person that'll say, hey, you know, I got a landscaping company out of Houston, and that's all I want to do is landscaping contracts in Houston. He's not a veteran, not a minority, not woman-owned. You know, it's just a Caucasian male. And, you know, when they do that, they limit themselves to such few opportunities versus people that are willing to broker. You open up a whole new realm of opportunities, you know, thousands and thousands of opportunities if you're willing to broker. And
exactly.
A lot of people don't realize that they can actually, a lot of contracts you can do in other states under your local state license.
Oh, okay.
You can do that with the feds. You can't do that with any other government. State contracts are states specified. So if you want to do a state contract for California, you'd have to be licensed in the state of California. You want to do a state contract for Nevada, you have to be licensed in the state of Nevada. Federal contracts, a lot of them are different. They allow you to do contracts in under states, under your local state license.
Okay.
Has your brother showed you any of these contracts yet?
No, he hasn't. He hasn't had a chance to. He's we both been busy, and it's crazy that we're actually we're like a few miles from each other right now. He's a I just came from St. Louis. We both work on the boats offshore, and it's crazy how we just kind of ended up in the same area. But we've both been pretty busy here lately, so he hasn't had a chance to.
Okay, yeah. My nephew did offshore for a while, for a couple of years. And, you know, it's one of those love-hate relationships. He said it's nice having 15 days off.
Right.
Sucks being out there for a month at a time, but it's nice having a nice long break. And he was pretty happy with it. So one day he got injured. And
oh, wow.
He said he was up on some kind of weird platform, and they couldn't get to him right away. So it was like an hour before they could get him off this platform, and he had to sit there with this injury for an hour. And then you got
Oh, wow.
5-6 hour helicopter ride back in just to get back to civilization, to get to an emergency room, and that really scared him into not enjoying it as much anymore.
I don't blame him.
Because I was always like, man, back in the day, I was thinking I should go do that too. And he's like, it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's stressful, and you're way out in the middle of nowhere, and the only thing you can do is fish.
Yeah, that's right.
And he said that was fun for the first 6 months.
Yeah, gets old.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the contracts. We're going to start by going to FPDS.
Okay.
And let's say, you can pretty much broker anything. A lot of the brokers that I teach, that I work with, get into doing fuels, petroleum, gasoline, oil, propane, butane, methane, even helium, which I didn't realize until recently. Helium is not man-made gas. It's actually mined. And if we ever run out of helium mines, there will be no more helium, but they can't make it. Just an interesting bit. I had no idea. Again, I found out there was actually a helium shortage because one of the main helium mines they had went dry, and that's how I found that out. Anyway, selling anything you get your hands on. But let's look at fuels, because there's always a need for fuels regardless. And the beauty about selling to the federal government is that they're always going to buy.
Yeah.
Even in 2008, when the housing market dropped and people stopped spending altogether, the government kept right on spending, just like normal, business as usual. When our federal government runs out of money, what do? We print more. It's the one entity on this planet that will always spend no matter what. So let's look at fuel.
Okay.
So TV Guy's largest contract, and TV Guy asked me to not talk about him anymore, but he's not a client, so I really could care less if he likes me or not. He should have listened to me back in 2010.
I remember watching your previous videos on that, so yeah.
He asked me to stop talking about him because he said people will call him and ask him for help. He's like, I'm not helping these people. They're going to compete against me,
Right, right.
But his largest contract is for fuel, and it's $1.8 million. He's got it through 2020. Herb over at Pyramid, probably heard me talk about him. I taught Herb how to broker. His largest contract now is propane. So let's look at fuel in general. And there's 100,000 contracts in the system under fuel. You see that? 109,761. Yes. Okay. Most recently awarded was the 26th. So that was Friday, I believe. We're going to look for one that's over $25,000, because anything under $25,000 has different purchasing requirements. So let's look at this one for $48,000. So we're going to click the view link. We're going to go inside the specific contract. We'll see it's 525 to 228. So that's 6, 7, 8, about 8-month contract for $50,000. This was for diesel, for a chancery, and it was done as a simplified acquisition, and look how many offers received.
3 offers.
That's not uncommon. 3 is typically the most offers I see. Usually it's 2 or a lot of times even 1 offer where there's no competition. When I brokered contracts back in the 80s and early 90s, we'd be happy if there was only 15 bidders, much less 3. I mean, that's, sometimes it was 25 or 30 bidders we were competing against.
Wow.
And our markup, if we could get 5%, we were thrilled. In the federal government arena, I rarely see more than 3 bidders, and the average market's 15 to 20% markup. Let's go back and take a look at another one. So you hit the back button. Go back to date signed. There's one for 30,000. Okay, so this one is for a little over 30,000. This company is a small business called Riverside Ranch. This is to provide biomass fuel to apply to FCI El Reno, Oklahoma. And this one's done as a simplified acquisition, small business set aside, only 2 offers received. Can you hold just a moment?
Yes, no problem.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
My daughter's visiting, and she's 14. She's fine. Her and her friend are at the house. I just wanted to make sure if her call came in wasn't an emergency. Okay.
Oh, okay, good.
So this was done as a simplified acquisition, 2 offers received. A little over 30,000. Not a big contract. Obviously, they add up. Go back to date signed. And that one's for 55,000. That one's for 36,000. That one's for 59,000. Let's look at this one for 59. I was to repair a fuel quantity indicator, so that's actually not supplying fuel.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now this is a multiple obligation. I can tell it's a simplified acquisition because they were actually prepaid. They were given a little over half up front. They were given $26,400 up front. They'll collect a total of $54,000 by the time this is done. 526, 531. So it was a 1-week contract. It doesn't tell us what it is. It was done as a simplified acquisition, small business set aside. There was 3 offers received. Average.
Wow.
And sometimes they do prepay on simplified acquisitions. That's a good example right there.
Yeah.
This is for medical gas. Simplified acquisition, small business set aside, 3 offers received. So you're seeing the pattern here.
Yeah.
That one was 2 offers received. Simplified acquisition. There was no set aside. There was still only 2 offers. Usually if it's not a small business set aside, anybody can bid on it, and there'll be 5, 10 large businesses that'll bid on it. But in this case, 2 offers, even though it was no set aside.
Wow.
It's for brazing rods. Propane for recreational sites. Now here's one that's interesting. All right, you see it was almost 50,000, right?
Right.
48,440. But this company only did 150,000 in revenues last year with 3 employees. So even though they only did 150 last year with 3 employees, the government gave them 1 contract worth 1/3 of their entire revenues for the whole year.
Yeah.
Right there. And we see this a lot. Simplified acquisition, small business set aside, 2 offers received. One of them that we got, one of my coworkers' clients got, it's this one right here. Here's a company, simplified acquisition, right there. Service disabled veteran-owned sole source. So they only went to this company and got a quote. There was only 1 offer received. This company did $1 million in revenues last year with 13 employees. See that?
Yes.
The government gave them a $1 billion contract with a B.
That's insane.
And they were paid $750,000 up front, which is 0.75%, probably enough to cover the bid bond. They'll collect $3.1 million, probably monthly, it looks like, through 2020.
Wow.
So he went from being $1 million company to $1 billion company overnight, literally.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now what I'm going to teach you guys to do, there's several things we're going to do. First of all, we're going to get a case manager assigned. They're going to go back through all your filings and reprocess everything and make sure everything's fully compliant.
Okay.
The last thing you want to do is take the time to submit bids and not win them and find out later after you request the debriefing that you didn't win them because you had mistakes in your filings. Even if you're active, that doesn't guarantee that you're compliant. There's only about 160,000 small businesses that are active right now. And we've done 80,000 SAM registrations. So I can tell you half of those are compliant. The other half, just because they're active doesn't mean they're compliant. That system's used for applying for grants. It's used by agencies to get their funding. So a lot of people will register and be active, but then never win a contract. I had a gentleman going on 2010 now. It's been going on a while. He called up one day and said he'd spent almost $100,000 between what he paid his attorney to register them, and he hired a guy, $40-something thousand a year salary plus bonuses and commissions, and 8 months later they'd submitted 50 bids, hadn't won a single one of them yet. And I asked him, I said, well, why are you not winning these? He goes, well, that's why we're paying you. You tell us. They didn't know they could request a debriefing and find out why the purchasing agent didn't choose them. Because if they'd done that, the purchasing agent would have told them a long time ago that they had discrepancies in their filing and they weren't compliant. You know, it was that simple. I looked at some of the bids they were submitting. The bids were good. They were doing a good job there. The guy he hired knew what he was doing. It's just that the attorney didn't register them properly to begin with. Yeah. So we're going to get a case manager assigned to you. That case manager is going to make sure you guys are registered and registered properly. And they're going to go back through and re-register anything you've already done, renew it, and sign off on it. So they take the responsibility of doing it correctly. And that takes the liability off of you completely. If there's a mistake made, you guys are not liable. Your case manager is.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to get with you guys and teach you how to use this system. I got some basic videos you can watch that shows you how the system works. You're going to have access to me every day through the group training. I'm going to teach you guys how to submit bids properly, how to format them, what to send. I'm going to teach you guys how to market yourself to these primes to do subcontract work. I'm going to teach you guys how to find, you're going to market yourself to Raytheon But I'm also going to teach you how to find out who Raytheon's selling to, who Raytheon's purchasing agents are, how to find their name and phone number and email, and know what they're buying. So you can actually call them and introduce yourself and say, hey, we can get you that as a small business. And, what can we do to earn your business? So you're going to be marketing yourself to the prime while you're taking their business to their clients from them as well. And, people say, wow, that's rough. Hey, it's a dog-eat-dog world, man. But if you're going to be in a dog-eat-dog world, be a lion.
Yeah, seriously.
And then, once I get you guys trained, I'll be available through the group sessions to help you with bids. I'm going to give you some private one-on-one training for when you guys have a question about something or you need to work on something. Maybe it has a clearance required and we can't discuss it in the group session, or maybe it's due today at 4 and you don't have time to get it on the group session. I'm going to give you guys some personal training as well. And it's a good thing you guys reached out to me, Had you gone to our website, we get a lot of people that are referred by the government. The government actually refers them to this. And when that happens, they go to the website and they just sign up. They don't question nothing because the purchasing agent told them to do it. They'll go do it. Had you gone to our website directly and signed up online, just for the SAP program, you're looking at $5,000. But what I can do is I can apply the vouchers from the NBCC convention. I'm on board with the NBCC, right?
Yes.
If you go to YouTube, search John Wayne, NBCC. I got a couple of my videos from their convention. It's actually on their website. Yeah, this is actually on the NBCC's website. But what I can do is I can apply the voucher from the NBCC and get that cost of that down to $29.50. And then we can add in the HUBZONE and the vet-biz and everything else we need, and I can add those at half price.
Okay.
Okay. So if I use the voucher, I can bring it from $49.95 down to $29.50. I'll also include the year of group training, which is normally $2,000. That's no charge. 5 hours of personal training at $275 an hour. That's $13.75 at no charge. The AFPDS, which I haven't even told you about, is our database that replaces FBO. It's way better. That's normally $2,000. I give you that at no charge. SAM, I can include that at no charge. So what you would normally get with the SAP program for $49.95, including everything else, is over $10,000 in services, over $8,000 in discounts. You're looking at $29.50. If we add in the vet-biz, which is normally $2,000, and the HUBZONE, which is normally $2,000, I can actually add both of those at half off if I add them to this package, if I bundle it together.
Okay.
Versus if you sign up for it 2 or 3 months down the road, they're going to make you pay full price. So for what it would cost you just to add the vet-biz, you get the vet-biz and the HUBZONE since it's half off.
I got you. Okay.
Should be looking at $49.50 total. And it is tax deductible. It is a business expense. You can write it off. That will include the verification of the DNB number, your old CCR and ORCA, registering with FEMA, reprocessing your SAM, updating all your codes, NACS, PSCs, FSCs, cage code, MPIN, your IRS consent validation, registering you with a DSBS, which proves you're a small business for those no-bid contracts, setting up your account in FBO, setting up your account in AFPDS, building your capability statement, posting that online in what's called the branded government portal, which is a fancy way of saying they're going to build a website that's geared specifically for government firewalls. and they're going to put your cap statement online on that website in a format that they can all view it. They're going to run a report, give you the top purchasing officers' names and numbers. Same thing with the vendors list. 1-year support, training, all that's included. All right.
All right.
When did you want to start bidding on these things?
Pretty much ASAP. I got 2 weeks left on my hitch, and then I'll be off, so I can really dial in and focus on everything. So,
okay.
Yeah.
If you told me, John Wayne, I've been watching your videos and I'm pressed and I know you're the guy I want to work with, let's get started. I would get you over to my assistant, Angela. She'd gather your information, send you over the forms. You could literally start bidding today because most bids aren't due for 2 to 3 weeks. And by that time, you'll be fully compliant. It takes case manager about a week or 2 to process everything. So if you said, let's do this, and we got you on board today, you could start finding stuff and start working on bids today. By the time they're due in 2 to 3 weeks from now, you'll be ready to go.
Okay.
All right.
That sounds good. Yeah, sounds good.
Any other questions for me?
Not at this time. Not at this time.
Okay. What I can do is, if you're ready, I'll go ahead and send you over to Angela so she can get your information. She'll send you over the forms.
All right. Yeah, man. Let's do it.
You got it. Hold on just a moment. Welcome aboard.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Hold on. Oh, you're called in on the I was thinking you were dialed in on my phone. I can't transfer you because you're called in on the training, but I can have her reach you back at your number. Let's see here. She can reach you back at the 318-918-0857.
That's correct.
You got it. I'll have her call you back here in just a couple of minutes.
All right, man. Thanks.
No problem, man. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.